Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at the function SUMPRODUCT. So this might be a function that you have never heard of, or it might be one of those functions that you've heard of but it always seems more complicated than it actually is. We're going to give you a real quick, two examples really of how to use SUMPRODUCT in this video, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll realise it's actually a really straightforward function to use and actually it's really beneficial as well. So in our little sample data, we've got three predominantly columns. So we've got a company name, such as company A or company B. We've got a price for like products. So we can see that they're actually just all £10, but that's by the by. And we can see that we've got a quantity given for each of those as well. So what the first challenge we're going to do, and obviously we'll go step through it as you may normally do, and then we'll show you the benefit of using SUMPRODUCT and how that works. So what we want to do is understand what the total revenue was for all of these, for the sales across these companies. So by revenue, we want to know obviously we've got the price. There's a fifth quantity of 5 here, so therefore the total revenue was £50. So obviously what is the total of that across all of these 5 rows? In order to do that, what we need to do is we'd have to go, okay, we'd have to take out the price, well, not take out, but we'd have to go to the price, so C4, and times that by the quantity. So hit enter and you can see what the value of 50. And if we just copy that formula down, we can see what the revenue is across each line. So for each line, what the price of the item was times the quantity that was sold gives us the total revenue. And just because it's beneficial to have it like this as well, what we'll do is just put it into a currency so we can see that clearly. So if we want to get the total across all of those, what we then have to do is use our sum function. We're now entering here in row 10, across all of those revenues, enter, and we can see that the total is £250. So it's worth mentioning just now so you're aware in case you haven't noticed before in our videos, or if you're new to the channel, where you see the highlighted yellow cells, that is the cells that we've entered a formula into. So just for reference on that note, or if it's a yellow cell that's blank, obviously it's a cell that's going to have a formula in it at some point in this video. So there we go, we've got the total across all of those. So we know what the total revenues were for each row, and then we can see what the total revenue was overall. That was £250. So that's great if we're able to do this calculation here to find out the revenue for each row, but what if we couldn't do that, or we wanted to do that without doing each of those individual calculations? Well, this is where SUMPRODUCT comes in. So when using SUMPRODUCT, all we need to do is do equal symbol, enter our function name, SUMPRODUCT, so quite a long one there, and then hit our brackets to do open, and we can see we're presented on our prompt with a number of arrays, so array 1, 2, 3, and so on. So there's multiple options we can have. To solve this problem and to not get too in the weeds with the actual function itself and make it more complicated than it is, we want to now know, okay, what is the total revenue if we look at all of our prices across those 5 rows and the quantities for those prices. All we need to do for that is we can just highlight all of these prices that you see here, those 5 rows. We can do a comma to move on to the second array, and then lastly we'll just select all of the quantities as we've done here, close our brackets and hit enter, and you can see we receive the same result as the row above. What was the more sort of manual or required more calculations to get to that result. How is that working? So what it's doing is basically going through each of these ranges, and this is why it's so important to make sure that the ranges you select in the array 1 and 2, so for us it's C4 to C8 and this D4 to D8, it's important that they are on the start from the same row and they span across the same number of rows, because that's the logic it's going to be using. And that logic is simply going to go down column C, or start in C4. It'll say, okay, right, take the value of C4, times that by the value of D4, and then it will go so on and so forth through all of those, and then once it's done with those calculations, it will then do the addition to sum the product of all of those calculations, which give us the output result. So what the prompt will do is it will tell you to, or advise you, to use the comma, as we've done here. But what we're going to do is suggest that you use the time, well, if this is your simple calculation and that's all you need to do, then by all means there's nothing wrong with using comma, and there's by no means nothing wrong with using comma anyway. But what we're going to advise you to do, and that will become more clear as we move into the second part of this example, is rather than a comma, we're going to use the asterisk or the times symbol. So if we hit enter there, you can see we get exactly the same result, so no change there. But there's a straight example of how to use it on the basic, getting a basic total overall for that example there. So moving forwards, the other benefit with using SUMPRODUCT is it allows us to use a logical expression. And by logical, it means apply some criteria, so we don't, rather than get the total overall, we can be specific as per our example here, and just get the totals for company A and exclude company B. So in order to do that, and this is why we need this, or it's important to start using that multiplication symbol, of the asterisk. So what we can do here is we do equals SUMPRODUCT. And you don't need to do it in capitals, I've just defaultly done that this time. So what we need to do is the first part of the array is going to be our logical test. So what we need to do there is firstly we need to select our range that contains the company name. So what we've just done there, so rows 4 to 8. And then we're going to use our equal symbol, and we're going to then select the company that we're after, so company A here. And then that's all we need to do is do our times symbol, and then we can then move on to find out our next part. So the first thing we were looking at was quantity. So what was the total quantity of items that were sold for company A? So we've done that, and then after the time symbol, all we need to then do is select the quantity column and ensure obviously it's the exact same range in terms of range duration as we did with column B, and then we can close our brackets. So one point where we just need to do when we're using this logical test is just ensure that this first logical test is surrounded by an additional bracket. So I'm just adding them in here now on the screen so you can see that. So those brackets go around the first range with the equals and obviously what the criteria is. So you can see what the full formula looks like now on the screen. Once you're happy with that, if you just hit enter, you can see we get the result of 16. So we can quickly manually test that. So what we want to do is we just want to exclude rows 8 and 5. So we want to look at 4, 6 and 7. So if we manually add them up, we've got 5. Add the 7 from row 6 is 12. Add the 4 gives us the 16. So we've correctly got the quantity of 16 there using SUMPRODUCT with a logical expression. Same for revenue. So the other thing we can do here is say we want to now find out what the total of this revenue column here for E is, but again only for company A. Exactly the same, what we'll do is do SUMPRODUCT. So this time I've obviously chosen to put it in lowercase. So the first part is our logical test, and that logical test is company A from our company column. So it is that equals company A, and also then making sure that this logical expression is surrounded by those additional brackets. Once we've entered that, we do our times symbol or the asterisk, and you can get that by holding down the shift button on your keyboard and then pushing the number 8. And then all we then need to do is select our revenue column, like so, close our brackets. You can then see the full formula on the screen now, and once you're happy, we can hit enter, and we get the total revenue. And let's just change that formatting so it looks consistent. So £160. Again, we can quickly just do that quick manual test. So we've got 50. Add 70 is 120, add the 40 is 160. So that gives us the total for revenue. So just to finish this off and just to do one last example, just as we did with the first one where we showed you how to do this if you didn't have everything overall. So we go SUMPRODUCT. So let's say we want to take our first example one step further. We haven't got a revenue column here, and we need to do the revenue calculation within the SUMPRODUCT, and again only for company A. So in order to do that, we do our equals SUMPRODUCT, and before we dive into it, again it's very simple. It's just adding one additional array. So we're just building upon those last two examples we've been working on. So the first part is going to be our logical test to make sure it's company A. So we select our company column. We do our equals symbol and then select obviously the company where we've got the range here in row 3 for company A. And we make sure that that's all surrounded by our brackets. We do our times asterisk symbol, and obviously we want to then make sure that, I've got ahead of myself. So we've done our logical test, so we want to make sure that the company column B4 to B8 is equal to company A. The next part we want to do there is we now want to look at price. So we then want to say, okay, get all the prices for company A. And then the next part, the last part, is then do our times symbol once more. And this time we want to select the quantity column. So all 3 columns are being pulled into our SUMPRODUCT function. So what's happening is the SUMPRODUCT is going to say, okay, right, we're only looking for company A within column B. And then for column B, for company A, pull out all the prices and all the quantities and then times them together and then add up all of those results to give us a total. So when we hit enter here now, you can see we get the same result of £160. So again, we've got the two options there. You can either do it if you need to break it out, so you can do it in two parts. So you've got the revenue, or if you've already got the revenue calculation column, then perfect, and you can just do this simple two-part sum product formula. Or if you only have your first three columns of the company, the price and the quantity, then you can add one additional little array there and you can see how this sum product gives us the great result without having to bring in extra columns and do extra individual calculations. And just to prove the benefit of obviously it's working well and the benefit obviously referencing this dynamic cell reference, we can change company A to company B and you can see that everything is updated for us. So we've now got a quantity of 9 units were sold for company B. Total revenue for company B again was £90, and again with more additional sum product we've got here, we can see that we get the same result. So we hope you enjoyed that video and that gave you great insight to sum product, and you leave this video not thinking it's more complicated than it needs to be. This really is a powerful function that you can start using in your work, and it will really help you provide a better solution rather than having to bring all these little workarounds and these additional calculations like we did here in column E. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you're notified of all of our new videos that are coming out. Please, again, if you enjoyed the video, do give the video a like. It really is greatly appreciated and it does help us out. And if you haven't checked them out before, there's some links in the description to this video. So we've got our Instagram and our Facebook pages. Great places to get in contact with us and also find out about the new videos that we have coming up. So thank you very much, and we shall see you in the next video.